shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes, and this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world, and then shall the end come.
Tell us, when will these things be? And what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age?
You're listening to an End of the Age encore presentation.
Here's today's prophecy update. Would you like to have internet speeds as high as 100 times faster than those you presently are using? Would you like to receive web downloads and video downloads instantly? Wouldn't it be amazing to never have your work or entertainment interrupted by buffering ever again? You may just have all of that by 2019. But what will this access to more information do to us spiritually? Will any of it help us to know God better? We'll tell you much more about 5G technology soon to come to your house. It's time for another edition of End of the Age. Well, ladies and gentlemen, before we plunge into this amazing subject, and don't go away, whatever you do, I do want to tell you that this coming weekend, I will be in Garland, Texas. Now, this is a different venue than where I was a few weeks ago, so don't get confused. I will be in Garland, Texas, and I will be speaking this coming Saturday evening on Master Plan of the Dragon. If I were going to teach one lesson that you should never miss, it would be this one, Master Plan of the Dragon. There is a master plan. It's being carried out right now, but it was prophesied 2,000 years ago. I'll be explaining the whole thing in this lesson. I'll show you where it is in the Bible. I'll tell you what's happening right now. Now, this is Saturday, February the 3rd at 6 p.m. It will be held at the New Life Church, 402 Oaks Trail, Garland, Texas. And we'll be talking about what three organizations have power over American society. Who is the mastermind behind these little known organizations? And we'll be explaining what is meant by, quote, the establishment. Now, that's Saturday evening, 6 p.m. Sunday morning, also in the same location, breaking prophetic fulfillments. What's happened over the last month or two that fulfills the prophecies of the Bible? And this one's loaded. That happens Sunday morning, February the 4th at 10 a.m. Now, there's a question and answer session that will follow this update. So it's going to be a great time. The two sessions are totally different, so feel free to attend both of them. I think you'll want to. One more time, location, New Life Church, 402 Oaks Trail, Garland, Texas. And that's this coming Saturday night and Sunday morning. Saturday at 6, Sunday morning at 10 o'clock. I look forward to seeing you there. You know, I'm going from prophecy conference to prophecy conference. My staff told me, now we're going to slow things down for you a little bit this year. They schedule all the meetings for me so I don't have to deal with all those logistics. So they said, we're going to slow you down this year. So I thought, well, let's see how I'm doing. It seemed like I was going an awful lot so far in this month. And I thought, I looked at my schedule. I've done 4 conferences in the 4 weeks of January. And I thought, well, that's not slowing down too much. And I looked at February, and I've got 4 scheduled for February. I don't mind telling you, I thought, I'm sure glad they're not speeding me up, but I really don't mind because things are moving so fast. It's so urgent that we just absolutely need to know. Now, as I was thinking about this 5G technology, and my eyes were bugging out, I thought, is this possible? Because according to the articles I'm reading, they're going to speed up the internet by 100 times, that you and I will be enjoying speeds 100 times faster than what we are right now at what they call 4G. 5G means fifth generation. And I thought, is this really possible? And I was marveling about it, and a scripture popped to my mind. It's found in Daniel chapter number 12, verse number 4. And this particular chapter deals with the end time. The whole 12th chapter of Daniel is right at the very end, right before the Battle of Armageddon, about where we are right now. And here's what it says. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. So it's given us a prophecy about the time of the end, and here's what it says. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. Have you ever just paused a moment to think about the fact that we had no automobiles 130 years ago? I mean, mankind, we have 6,000 years of recorded human history. No automobiles, no airplanes, no telephones, and all the other things that we deal with. No computers. Until the last 120 or 30 years? Isn't that amazing? Well, we're going to find out that knowledge is getting ready to take another huge leap ahead. And then we're going to talk about, okay, where's it all leading? How's it going to affect you? How's it going to affect me? So vital, so important. Let's pause for this message, and then we're going to dive right into 5G technology.
Turn your scriptures from black and white into color. Experience the footsteps of Jesus. Understand Bible prophecy that is coming to pass right now. Join Irvin and Judy Baxter and the End Time team this spring 2018 for a life-changing trip to Israel and Jordan. Mark your calendar for April 26th through May 11th for this amazing journey. Call 1-800-ENDTIME, that's 1-800-363-8463 and press 2, or go to endtime.com/Israel-tour to receive your information today.
Move Mountains with Irvin Baxter, the new book by Irvin's grandson, provides 30 days of devotion that will enhance your connection to God and others. Authentic illustrations from early morning devotions at End Time will help you find your purpose and eliminate fears. Commit to taking this 30-day journey and experience real life change. Order this brand new book for only $14.99. Call 1-800-363-8463 or go to endtime.com/move.
We got married in 2003. We clashed immediately. Everything seemed to be going wrong. We started following End Time Ministries, and we started going to End Time Bible studies.
Our life's never been the same. It's just been so powerful and so great, and God has done such a mighty work that saved my life, and it saved my soul for eternity.
God did use this ministry to literally bring us to Him and make the old man pass away and the new man come to life.
Thank you for giving to End Time Ministries.
Offering hope to people like us.
With every dollar, you change lives and provide hope for people just like Mark and Adrian. Thank you for giving to End Time Ministries.
There was a speaker at the World Economic Forum, that's where President Trump just made a speech last week, that spoke on 5G technology, and his title was How 5G Will Change the World. I want to just quote to you some of the things from this speech and from this article. It is not an easy time to be an internationalist, to seek global solutions to global problems amid what feels like one of history's periodic inclinations toward divisiveness. Now, all of you know that President Trump has been campaigning against globalism. He believes we must retain national sovereignty. Now, prior to his administration, and for many, many years, there had been this steady move toward globalism, globalization, one world economy, one world political system. So there had been this move in that way. Well, he comes along and not only slams on the brakes, but jams it into reverse, saying, no, we're backing away. We're not going to surrender the sovereignty of the United States. We're going to remain independent. We're not submitting ourselves to a one world government system. Well, that's what this speaker opens his speech with. It's not a good time to be an internationalist. Then he goes on to say, yet, ironically, we're on the verge of a new age of interconnectedness when the daily lives of people across the planet will be more closely intertwined than ever. Advances in technology will usher in the age of fifth generation or 5G telecommunications. And if past is prologue, this technological evolution will lead to dramatic societal changes. Hear these words? Don't overlook them. He means every word. The first generation of mobile communications with brick-sized phones. I had one of those big cell phones, brick-sized. That brought just a handful of users, expensive and often unreliable analog voice calling. The second generation introduced digital voice service that was less likely to be dropped, available to many more people, and ultimately cheaper to use. 3G ushered in the mobile internet, mobile computing, and the proliferation of apps. 4G, often called LTE, made possible all we have come to expect of mobile broadband, streaming video and audio, instantaneous ride-hailing, and the explosion of social media. We take all of this connectivity for granted, but the engineering inside the device in your bag or pocket today would have seemed impossible less than 20 short years ago. So, where will 5G take us? Think about a world in which not just people, but all things are interconnected. Cars to the roads they are on, doctors to the personal medical devices of their patients. Think about that. A doctor being able to look at a graph in his office and watch your pacemaker, how it's acting, and any other devices that you're using for health purposes. Augmented reality available to help people shop and learn and explore wherever they are. This requires a massive increase in the level of connectivity. You know, they're even talking about smart refrigerators so that it'll tell you if you need milk or if you need cheese or whatever you're running low on. They claim that this is coming. Now, I don't know whether I'm ready for that or not. Nevertheless, we're talking about interconnectivity. 5G is the technological answer, making possible billions of new connections and making those connections secure and, here's the key, instantaneous. No buffering, no waiting. We're talking about connections up to 100 times as fast as what all of us are using right now. They're using the best technology available. 5G will impact every industry, autos, healthcare, manufacturing, and distribution. Emergency services, just to name a few. I mean, you already know they're planning on having self-driving cars. They already have them. But I don't think I'm quite ready to go out there and entrust my life to one of those yet. But once they get these computers 100 times as fast, well, as much as I have a hard time believing it, it may well be coming. I mean, what about it? You head off across the country, you don't have to drive. You just sit and talk or study or whatever. Plus, you'll have internet available in your car wherever you go. What a world we're living in. But remember where we've come over the last 130 years or so. Automobiles, airplanes, going to the moon, computers, internet. I mean, the explosion. Remember what the prophecy said about the end times? Knowledge shall increase. I read somewhere where the bank of human knowledge is now doubling every 2 years. I don't know whether that's true or not, but that's what I read. Well, this article goes on to say, and 5G is purposely designed so that these industries can take advantage of cellular connectivity in ways that wouldn't have been possible before, and to scale upwards as use of 5G expands. But generational change in mobile communications doesn't just appear overnight. It requires significant effort in research and development and the resources necessary to support that effort. Work on 4G took nearly a decade, and the challenges were not easy. Consider one of tens of thousands of problems that needed to be solved, as described by an engineer at Qualcomm, where much of this technology was invented. The benefits and advantages of 5G technology are expected to be available sometime in 2019. That fast. We believe 5G will change the world even more profoundly than 3G and 4G. That it will be as revolutionary as electricity or the automobile. Can you imagine that? A technology that's going to change our society as much as moving from the coil lamp to electricity, from walking or riding horses to the automobile. That's what they're saying. And that this will benefit entire economies and entire societies. We're not talking about over a 50-year period. We're talking about the immediate future. Economists estimate the global economic impact of 5G in new goods and services will reach $12 trillion by 2035 as 5G moves mobile technology from connecting people to people and information towards connecting people to everything. Many of the benefits probably aren't yet apparent to us. Wireless network operators initially resisted proposals to give their customers mobile access to the internet, questioning why would they want it? At the dawn of 4G's adoption, no one could have predicted the new business models that grew on the back of the mobile broadband, like Uber, Spotify, Facebook. But nevertheless, it happened. Okay, now I want to pause just a moment because we're not here to give you a science lesson today. We're here to talk about Bible prophecy and how all this fits in. Now, remember, there's a prophecy in the Bible that a time is coming when every person will have a mark or a number without which they will not be able to buy or sell. This society will be so computerized that you'll probably just talk to a machine and it'll do it. Well, that's already happening somewhat, isn't it? Well, everything is going to go up exponentially. So somewhere in all this development, there's going to come this program called the Mark of the Beast. Now, I don't know how you feel about this technology. I happen to love it. I love this amazing technology. However, the problem is, I also know the prophecies, and I know what they say is coming. So I'm thinking, okay, is the technology sinful, or is it just the way it's going to be utilized that's sinful? Well, I've come to the conclusion that there's nothing sinful about the technology. I'm using it every day to produce End Time Magazine, to produce this radio program, and to do many things we could never do before. I'm teaching twice a day from right here in this studio to Jerusalem. Live. They hear me, I hear them, zero voice delay. I love it. So the technology can be put to good use. On the other hand, the Bible teaches that this world governmental system is going to expand and it's going to put the technology to a bad use. Imagine all this in the hands of an Adolf Hitler. That's bone-chilling. Well, this is going to happen. There's going to be another Adolf Hitler coming. He won't be called Adolf Hitler. In the Bible, he's called the Antichrist or the Beast. That's an ominous name. And that's coming when everybody will be basically in a cashless society and everybody will use this to buy and sell. So I'm just simply saying, as all this develops, make sure that your biblical knowledge stays up with your technological advancement, or else technology could be your doom. That's what's going to be important. Use the world, don't abuse the world, okay? So we can see all these prophecies coming at us. I recently did a study about the degree to which nations are going cashless. 80% of commercial transactions in America last year were done electronically. 80%. That only leaves 20% left to bite the dust. So we could be in a cashless society soon. So is America on the road to the mark of the beast? Europe is for sure. The Bible specifically prophesies about that. How's it going to affect America? How's it going to affect you, me, all the world? Critical and important questions for all of us to ask. Let me give you a little bit more information. Now the Trump team is considering nationalizing 5G network. This comes from Axios.com. Actually, it was just published yesterday. Trump national security officials are considering an unprecedented federal takeover of a portion of the nation's mobile network to guard against China, according to sensitive documents obtained by Axios. Why does it matter? We've got our hands on a PowerPoint deck and a memo, both produced by a senior National Security Council official, which were presented recently to senior officials at other agencies in the Trump administration. Here's the main points. The documents say America needs a centralized nationwide 5G network within 3 years. There will be a fierce debate inside the Trump administration and an outcry from the industry over the next 6 to 8 months over how such a network is built and paid for. Two options laid out by the documents. The U.S. government pays for and builds the single network, which would be an unprecedented nationalization of a historically private infrastructure. An alternative plan where wireless providers build their own 5G networks that compete with one another, though the document says the downside is it could take longer and cost more. It argues that one of the pros of that plan is that it would cost less commercial disruption to the wireless industry than the government building a network. Let's read between the lines. A source familiar with the documents drafting says option 2 is really no option at all. A single centralized network is what's required to protect America against China and other bad actors. The source said the internal White House debate will be over whether the U.S. government owns and builds the network or whether the carriers bind together in a consortium to build the network, an idea that would require them to put aside their business models to serve the country's greater good. So why does all this matter? Option 1 would lead to a federal control of a part of the economy that today is largely controlled by private wireless providers. In the memo, the Trump administration likens it to the 21st century equivalent of the Eisenhower National Highway System and says it would create a new paradigm for the wireless industry by the end of Trump's current term. The PowerPoint presentation says that the U.S. has to build super-fast 5G wireless technology quickly. Why? Because China has achieved a dominant position in the manufacture and operation of network infrastructure, and China is the dominant malicious actor in the information domain. To illustrate the current state of U.S. wireless networks, the PowerPoint uses a picture of a medieval walled city compared to a future represented by a photo of Lower Manhattan. The best way to do this, the memo argues, is for the government to build a network itself. It would then rent access to carriers like AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. A source familiar with the documents drafting told Axios this is an old draft and a newer version is neutral about whether the U.S. government should build and own it. The bigger picture, The memo argues that a strong 5G network is needed in order to create a secure pathway for emerging technologies like self-driving cars and virtual reality, and to combat Chinese threats to America's economic and cybersecurity. A PowerPoint slide says the play is the digital counter to China's One Belt, One Road initiative meant to spread its influence beyond its borders. The documents also fret about China's dominance of artificial intelligence and use that as a part of the rationale for this unprecedented proposal. Artificial intelligence arms race. The memo says China is slowly winning the artificial intelligence algorithm battles, and that not building the network puts us at a permanent disadvantage to China in the information domain. And then it goes on and on and on. Just thought you'd like to know, we're on the brink of another revolution. And I'm not talking about 10 years from now. I'm not talking about 5 years from now. I'm talking about now. It's already begun. They're already starting to implement 5G, and it will be going at full speed this time next year. Okay. So when all this happens, are we going to get so busy and so controlled that God can't even put his foot in the door? That he won't have time for us and we won't have time for him? Is it going to crowd God out completely? Are we going to become intellectually more intelligent and spiritually darker? That's a big question all of us need to consider. If you've never been through the Understand the End Time series, you need to go through it more now than ever after this today. The Understand the End Time series, 14 DVDs that will bring you up to date on what the prophecies say not only has happened, but what's going to happen in the very near future. You need it. Every one of you needs it. Call us. 800 End Time is the number. 1-800-363-8463.
Israel, there is no other place like it on the face of the earth. Over 4,000 years ago, God gave this land to Abraham and his seed and said that he would put his name in Jerusalem. The world watches as this tiny nation stands in spite of all the obstacles. Irvin and Judy, along with the End Time team, would like to invite you to travel with us to the Holy Land. This trip will be a wonderful and life-changing experience. Our Spring End Time Prophecy Tour will have the privilege of being the first End Time tour to visit Jerusalem as the recognized capital of Israel. Some of the highlights will be the Mount of Olives, the Temple Mount, the Tomb of Jesus, the boat ride on the Sea of Galilee, the baptisms in the Jordan River, and we will also visit Petra in Jordan. If you would like to experience the Bible in full color, join us April 26th through May 11th, 2018. Call 1-800-END-TIME, that's 1-800-363-8463, and press 2, or go to endtime.com/Israel Tour to receive your information today.
Do you believe we're living in the end times? If so, what's the one magazine you should subscribe to? End Time is the magazine designed to guide you through the end times. Irvin highly recommends End Time magazine so you can stay informed with what's going on in the news and how it relates to Bible prophecy. Call 1-800-363-8463 and get End Time magazine for 2 years for only $29. Call 1-800-END-TIME or go to endtime.com to take advantage of this special offer.
If your station only carries the first 30 minutes of End of the Age, go to endtime.com and click the watch button to continue today's broadcast. You can also finish up later by clicking the archives button. You're listening to an End of the Age encore presentation.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure that many of you have never heard the term 5G until today. I know some of you perhaps have heard about it, but it's new to most of us. So what are the implications of all of this? Now, I want to take your calls on the program today because we have to ask a lot of questions. Should we say, you know, I'm just not going to join the 5G technological revolution. I'm just going to stay back here with my 3G or my 4G technology. And I'm not going because I'm afraid of it. Or else I'm going gung-ho and whatever they do, I'm going to be first in line. Which of those extremes should we follow? Or Should it be a more controlled thing? I find among Christians many times there's people say, I won't own a computer because I think they're of the devil. I think that it could cause me to not be saved. Well, if you use it wrong, it can do that. The same thing is true with many other appliances. There are whole religious movements in America today that won't have electricity. They won't use modern conveniences at all. They're still plowing their fields with mules. And I'm not saying these people are all bad, but is that really what God requires? We know the Apostle Paul used the latest technologies of his day in order to spread the gospel. He didn't walk everywhere. He would get a ship, the fastest ship he could get to the next place he was going. Today, of course, we use airplanes and we use all kinds of technology. So where is the happy medium? Where is the sweet spot that God would have us to be? I mean, we know this mark of the beast is coming. Now, I'm going to venture out here just a little bit because the Bible says that the Antichrist will cause all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and without that they cannot buy or sell. You say, wait a minute, that says all. That means the mark of the beast is coming to America. Therefore, we have to make preparations for it now. We have to store food. We have to get generators. We have to learn to live off the land. I mean, that's where some people are today. But is that the proper stance? Let's back up a moment. There are prophecies in the Bible that indicate some nations, a few, will not come under the power of the Antichrist, nor come under the power of the mark of the beast. For example, if you'd like to read it for yourself, Daniel chapter 11, verse 41 specifically says concerning the Antichrist that Edom, Moab, and Ammon shall escape out of his hand. Edom is southern Jordan. Moab mountains are in central Jordan. Ammon is Amman, Jordan. That's the capital of Jordan. So here we have this prophecy that Jordan, which shares a long border with Israel, is never going to fall under the power of the Antichrist. Then the Bible teaches that Israel itself, in Revelation chapter 12, verse 14, it shows Satan trying to persecute the woman with the 12 stars. The 12 stars represent the 12 tribes of Israel. The woman is Israel itself. And the Bible shows that she will be nourished from the face of the Antichrist for times and a half a time, for 3.5 years, which is the length of the Great Tribulation. So the Great Tribulation begins, and the number one target of the Antichrist will be the Jewish people, the nation of Israel, but he won't be able to get to them, at least those that are in Israel proper. And the Bible tells us why he will not be able to get to them. Because the Bible says Israel will be protected by the wings of a great eagle. Does anybody know Israel's best friend today? Of course, it's the United States of America. Our national emblem is the eagle. God's going to use America to protect Israel. Now, we have our two best friends in the Middle East are Israel and Jordan, the two nations the Bible specifically says will never fall under the power of the Antichrist. So, since we are fighting against the Antichrist and defending Israel against the Antichrist, then apparently we are not going to cooperate with the Antichrist either. So there are going to be pockets of resistance. The Bible even says during the final 3.5 years concerning the Antichrist that tidings out of the east and the north shall trouble him. He'll go forth to take away and utterly destroy. So he's going to have opposition, even during the final 3.5 years. Now, I want to be a part of his opposition, I'll just tell you. And I am convinced from the scriptures we have that America, Israel, Jordan, and maybe others will be in opposition. Now, he will dominate the world. He's going to dominate Russia, Great Britain, Germany, the powers of Europe, and we don't know where all. But he will be the dominant leader upon the earth. And any place he's in control, he will cause all that he has control over to receive a mark or a number without which he cannot buy or sell. You say, well, we don't have to worry about it then if America is going to be exempt. You're right. We don't have to worry about it. However, that doesn't mean there's nothing we should do, because we've got a lot of Christian brothers and sisters and a lot of people all over the world that are going to wake up to this reality, and they're going to have to escape, and they're going to have food to eat, and they're going to have provisions. They may need to come to the United States of America. Our government may need to make a special immigration policy just for these Christians that will be fleeing for their lives and the Jews that will be fleeing for their lives. And we may need to raise money to help all of them to get here or to get to Israel. So we're not going to sit this one by. We're going to be in the wonderful position of not having to have help, but being able to give help to others. So when you look at this, and already we can see this, the whole world just voted against the United States because President Trump made the decision to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital. And the whole world, the UN Security Council tried to pass a resolution. The vote was 14-1. But the problem is, the one vote against it was the United States, and we have absolute veto power on the UN Security Council, so the resolution failed. Then they took it to the General Assembly 3 days later on the 21st of December, and they passed a resolution, but that only has propaganda value. The vote was something like 128-9 with 35 abstentions, and 21 people were absent. So 65 people didn't vote for that resolution, but 128 did. So it did pass. But it's meaningless. They have no enforcement mechanism. Now, the Security Council, they have enforcement mechanism. The Security Council has a provision in the UN Charter that they can actually pass resolutions at level number 7 of the Constitution and order military invasion. And that will happen at the Battle of Armageddon. The UN is going to invade Israel at the time of the Battle of Armageddon. In the meantime, here you and I sit in this wonderful nation called the United States of America. Now, I know we got problems. We got an abortion problem. We got a same-sex marriage problem. All of those horribly displeasing to God. But we've got a lot of good things, too. We're the only nation on earth that I know of that has "In God We Trust" on our money. And in our Pledge of Allegiance, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You know, God listens to that when those words are said every day. He sees that. And remember, some people say, well, if God doesn't judge America, he'll have to repent to Sodom and Gomorrah. Well, wait just a minute. Remember, he would not have judged Sodom and Gomorrah if Abraham could have found 10 righteous. So you don't have to have 100%. You just have to have a significant portion of a population for God's blessings to still come. Furthermore, God knows how to put judgment on the unjust and the ungodly and the rebellious, and at the same time bless those that walk in his fear and in his love. So all these things add up. When we see, therefore, the technology that's sweeping our world, while the world and the Antichrist is using that for evil, we can use the exact same technologies for good. We're going to be able to broadcast the world. I'm sure it's going to get so easy that we'll be able to reach the world every day from right here in this studio. I'll be able to have guests from all over the world right here in this studio. We're just about there now, actually. And the world's going to need answers so desperately, we're going to be on the air every day. Well, we actually are right now. You're listening to me right now. So we'll be talking about all these things that the world needs to understand, because they're going to need to know who the Antichrist is, who the false prophet is, what the mark of the beast is all about, what they should do, what they should not do. All those things are going to become absolutely vital. Oh, by the way, that's a really good reason for all of you out there to become a partner with End Time Ministries, because that's what God has called us to do. Now, I don't make any outlandish claims. I'm no better than anybody else. I'm a human being. The only thing I do know is that God has called me to End Time Ministries. He's called me to preach the prophecies of the Bible, to teach the prophecies of the Bible. And we're doing our very best to do that. Everything we do here at End Time Ministries is built around the Great Commission. Jesus said, "Go ye therefore, teach all nations." Well, that's what we're doing. We teach using End Time Magazine. We have our daily radio program, our daily webcasting program now, our webcasting podcast. We have conferences. We have social media. We have tours to Israel, explaining things even more in depth. Now we have the Jerusalem Prophecy College. We have all those things. Every one of those items is designed to teach, to fulfill the Great Commission. Now, God's been good to us. We've been able to do a lot, but not enough. We recently tried to do a poll to figure out how many people we were reaching per month. Our staff in every department, they added everything up, and they gave us the best estimate of about 230 million people per month are touched by End Time Ministries. I'm talking about between television, radio, social media, magazine, conferences, everything. And when they told me that, I thought, whoa, that's pretty good. But then 10 seconds later, I said, wait a minute. There's 7 billion people on this planet, and we're reaching 230 million? That's not nearly enough. And we're running out of time. We don't know whether we have 7 or 8 or 9 years left, but that's a big job to get done in a very short amount of time. So what I'm saying to you is this. Why don't you jump on board if you're not already? If you're not yet a partner with End Time Ministries, I wish that every person listening to me today would right now call us at 1-800-END-TIME and say, yes, I want to be a partner. And ask the Lord what you should do. If you can't do anything financially, then pray for us. But if you can support financially, whether it's $100 a month, $50 a month, $25 a month, $10 a month, just do what you can. Because where there's unity, there's strength. And we're not trying to get rich here. I live in a decent home. I have a nice car that I can depend on. And I thank God for those things because that's what I need to do His work. But beyond that, I have no ambitions. I don't have a desire to be a millionaire. I don't think I ever could be because there's too many people to reach. And so if God gives me money, I'm going to use it for more television time, more radio time. Now, I'm just sharing this with you. So if you're not yet a partner, get on board today. The number to call is 1-800-END-TIME. We're racing the rapture. The end time is now. Remember, in the end time, knowledge shall be increased. So in order to become a partner, call us 1-800-END-TIME, or if you'd like to do it online, simply go to endtime.com. There's a place right there you can sign up. Stay with us.
Move Mountains with Irvin Baxter, the new book by Irvin's grandson, provides 30 days of devotion that will enhance your connection to God and others. Authentic illustrations from early morning devotions at End Time will help you find your purpose and eliminate fears. Commit to taking this 30-day journey and experience real life change. Order this brand new book for only $14.99. Call 1-800-363-8463 or go to endtime.com/move.
Turn your scriptures from black and white into color. Experience the footsteps of Jesus. Understand Bible prophecy that is coming to pass right now. Join Irvin and Judy Baxter and the End Time team this spring 2018 for a life-changing trip to Israel and Jordan. Mark your calendar for April 26th through May 11th for this amazing journey. Call 1-800-END-TIME, that's 1-800-363-8463 and press 2, or go to endtime.com/Israel-tour to receive your information today.
You're listening to an End of the Age encore presentation.
In case you're wondering why we need to save the Jews, it's because there's 1.6 million of them in Europe. And they're all going to be living under the reign of the Antichrist very soon now. They don't know that. They don't have access to the Scriptures and to the understanding of the Scriptures. But we know it. You and I do. And I want to make sure we reach every one of them. We need to be on in Europe, broadcasting all over Europe right now to give the information there that we're giving here to all of you. So that's another reason we need to do one of the things we've set as our goals, and that is to reach every one of those 1.6 million Jews. I'd like to mail an End Time magazine to every single one of them, explaining to them why they've got to get out of Europe and either get to Israel or get to the United States of America. Those are the two specific places we know for certain will be safe from the Antichrist during the Great Tribulation that is just ahead. So if you'd like to help with that, please do. We'd appreciate it so much. Contact us at 1-800-END-TIME or go to endtime.com. Let's get the phones now. We're coming to Texas. Hello, James. Welcome.
Hello.
You're on the air, James.
Okay, I'm going to try to get my speaker louder. Hello?
Yes. What's on your mind?
Anyway, I wanted to say that whether it's 3G, 4G, 5G, it really doesn't matter. It's kind of a neutral thing. It's like it can be used for good or bad. But anyway, God can speak to us through his prophets and others to know what to do and to further his church on earth, okay?
Sure.
And I just want to point out that I recently got an idea from the Lord that shows the correlation or parallelism between Exodus and Armageddon. Hello?
Okay. Tell me about
it. Anyway, here's the thing. In Exodus, Moses has this plague of frogs come on the land, okay?
Yes.
And the Egyptians, seers or prophets, or I don't know what you call them, magicians, have frogs come out too, okay?
Yes.
Then the Israelites escaped through the Red Sea, and the Red Sea drowns the Egyptians in it, okay? And then we go to Revelation, and it shows the Antichrist, the false prophet, and the dragon spitting out what sick men do when they're sick. They spit out green stuff on the ground. And these are frogs coming out of their mouths of them because they are sick. And then these frogs are a plague on the land. And guess what a bunch of frogs are called? Factually, it's called an army, believe it or not. A bunch of frogs are called an army. And then this bad army of the Antichrist and false prophet and the dragon go forth towards Armageddon. Now here's what happens. They go into Armageddon, and what happens? They get smashed by giant hailstones, and guess what? The blood is up to the horse bridles. They die in the Red Sea. How about that?
You know, James, you're bringing an interesting point, because when God brought the children of Israel out of Egypt, he used plagues to cause Egypt to let them go. And when we come to the end of this age, at the time of Armageddon, like you're mentioning here, that there will be 7 plagues. They're called the vials. And most of those plagues are duplicates of the plagues that God used to liberate Israel from Egypt, 3,500 years ago. So it's like you say, there's a parallel between what happened then and what happened now. And when you talk about the 3 spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the beast, the false prophet, and the Antichrist, the Bible specifically says these are the spirits of devils working miracles to gather the kings of the earth down against Israel for the battle of Armageddon. So I really thank you for your comment today. I think it's right on the money that that's where we are right now in the near future, that what has happened then is in fact going to happen again. Appreciate it very much, James. I'm going to have to let you go. Thank you very much for your phone call. Also in Texas, Brett is calling. Hello, Brett.
Hi, Irvin. I called you last week and had some questions about the Sixth Trumpet War. I've got a couple more questions. My first question is, do you think that the Sixth Trumpet War will start towards the end of the 3.5 years of peace? Second question is, you mentioned that you believe that China will be annihilated, but the war is gonna start from the Ukraine. So my question to that is, what do you think will draw China or lure them into the war for them to be wiped out?
Well, I'm going to answer the last one first there, Brett. People don't realize it, but there's a big contest going on right now between China and the United States, because most people have speculated that the 21st century is going to end up being the Chinese century, when China will pass us economically and therefore militarily. So there's already a rivalry. As a matter of fact, our subject just today that we've been talking about the 5G technology, China is ahead of us right now. And if their computers are 100 times as fast as ours, that means that their missiles will be much faster and more efficient than ours, and all their other electronic technology as well. That's the reason that it's being recommended to the Trump administration that he put this on a national emergency footing, and that they could get this 5G technology implemented in America yet in the first term of President Trump. So once you get the two powers coming at each other, then that shows how that we could end up clashing during this time of World War III, during the Sixth Trumpet War. That's the way I see it could happen, because the United States does not want to be replaced by China, and the world probably would not want the United States to be replaced by China, because you don't want a Marxist dictatorship ruling the world. So I think that that's the answer to your second question. Now, take me back one more time to the first part of your question. Remind me once again, would you?
Well, I asked if you think that, and because that there's going to become one world religion, and they're going to try to number everybody, I kind of feel like the Sixth Trumpet War is going to happen right up before the abomination of desolation.
Yes, I remember now. Okay, we definitely know for sure that the Sixth Trumpet War must happen before the abomination of desolation, because it's the abomination of desolation that happens halfway through the 7-year period that triggers the Great Tribulation. And according to Revelation, the Sixth Trumpet War happens in chapter number 9. In chapter number 10, an angel stands 1 foot on the land, 1 foot on the sea, declaring that delay shall be no longer, and that marks the beginning of the Great Tribulation. And then chapter 11 describes some of the events of the final 3.5 years. So the war in chapter 9 has to happen before the beginning of the Great Tribulation in chapter number 10. So I think you're absolutely right. Our only question is, we don't know how far before the Great Tribulation. Will it happen before the 7 years begins, or will it happen during the first 3.5 years? Now, there's one argument for that view, and that would be, once this horrible war hits, in the aftermath of that war, this world is going to be in unprecedented chaos. When you've got 1/3 of mankind, 2.5 billion people dead, having to be buried, then that would be the perfect entrance ramp for a strong man with answers and for the conversion of the world into a world government. So that's a very strong possibility, but I'm not willing to say for sure, because I simply don't know yet. I can't see in the scriptures absolute proof, but we know it's coming, and it's coming pretty quickly.
All right, that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it so much. I want to get all of you in that's online, so let's go there real quickly. Nick is calling from here in Texas. Hello, Nick.
Yes, hi, Irvin. I was wondering, if Israel, they captured Jerusalem in 1967, what happened that they couldn't keep it?
Well, they actually did keep Jerusalem. They have control of Jerusalem now, except for the Temple Mount. The Temple Mount is 35 acres located in the eastern part of Jerusalem. But what happened was, when they took that 35 acres, there were 2 Arab shrines there, the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Dome of the Rock. Well, they wanted to respect the Arab religion, and so they invited the Muslims to come back and to become caretakers over their religious houses of worship. Now, there was 2 reasons why they did that. Number one, they feared the United Nations and the United States. The second reason was The government of Israel at that time was secular, and they knew if they bulldozed those Arab mosques down, that this, and build a temple, that this would cause a great spiritual revival. And those secular leaders of Israel didn't believe in a spiritual revival. They didn't even want it. Many of them didn't even believe in God. They were atheists. So they did not want a spiritual revival. So it was safer in their eyes to allow the Arabs to stay there and control the Temple Mount instead of allowing the religious Jews of Israel to suddenly build the temple, which would have caused a tremendous religious revival, and it would have swept the secular government right out of power. So those are the two reasons why that they did not go ahead and take total possession of the Temple Mount.
Okay. Okay, well, that cleared that up. Well, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. And oh, by the way, Israeli police still reserve the right to go on the Temple Mount and to make sure everything is peaceful there, but they just simply allow the religious waqf, which is W-A-I waqf. I'm trying to remember how you spell it now, W-A-I-Q, I think. They allow them to stay in control and to administer the activities. Still, Jews can go up. We go up every year. We're all allowed to go up. But right now, only the Arabs are allowed to pray or worship up there. The rest of us just go up there and we're able to look around. So that's the situation. Okay, let's quickly go. And I'm close on time, so Lori, help me. Let's go to Washington. Hello, Lori.
Good afternoon, Brother Baxter. I'm going through Jerusalem Prophecy College, trying to become one of your 1,000.
Good.
And I just had a question.
Okay.
In course number 2, lesson number 1, Understanding the Godhead, where you're teaching the mystery of the Godhead.
Yes.
You say in there that Satan took 1/3 of the angels with him, and I can't find that number 1/3 anywhere.
Go to Revelation chapter 12, verse number 7.
Revelation 12:7. Okay, I will look that up.
Okay, and I'm almost positive the answer is there, that 1/3 of the angels rebelled with Satan, and then, also in the earlier part of chapter 12, it talks about the dragon drew 1/3 part of the stars, and it refers there to the angels as stars. And it says, he took his angels, made war against God and his angels, and Michael led the angels of heaven and defeated him. So I believe that there may be other references, but for sure they're in chapter 12, verse 1 through 7. Thank you very much, Lori. Sorry to put you on such a short time leash there, but we're totally out of time. All of you, if you're not yet part of the Jerusalem Prophecy College and the End Time 1000, we're getting ready for the final 7 years. You can enroll by going to JerusalemProphecyCollege.com. JerusalemProphecyCollege.com. It'll tell you exactly what to do. I'll see you tomorrow.
End of the Age is a production of End Time Ministries. This broadcast will be available on our website, endtime.com, in the archives section. On our website, you'll also find more information about how current events are fulfilling Bible prophecy. To reach our operators, call 1-800-END-TIME. That's 1-800-363-8463. End Time Ministries is partner supported. We would like to say thank you to our partners who made this broadcast possible. To do what Matthew 24:14 said, to reach the world with the gospel of the kingdom.